Robert Greene understood something most people never truly grasp. Desire does not grow from facts or reality. It is born inside the imagination. Mystery is the element that turns an ordinary man into something people cannot solve. The moment you reveal everything, your thoughts, your fears, your habits, your daily routine, the fantasy disappears. And when fantasy disappears, attraction slowly dies. The human mind is designed to search for meaning. When something is unclear, the brain does not relax. It becomes active. It starts searching, filling in gaps, creating stories, and replaying moments. This is why some people become unforgettable without making any effort. They never show the full picture. They reveal only pieces. They leave thoughts unfinished. They drop questions that stay in the mind long after the meeting ends. In real life, mystery begins with restraint. It comes from what you choose not to explain. This is not cold behavior, it is control. You decide how much access someone gets. You reveal information in layers. You allow understanding to develop slowly over time. When you do this, the other person no longer feels like they are simply talking to you. They feel like they are discovering you. When someone is forced to imagine who you really are, they invest emotional energy. And once energy is invested, attachment begins to form. The more energy they invest, the harder it becomes for them to pull away. That is why mystery is not just a trick or a tactic. It is the silent structure behind long-term attraction and seduction. Lesson 1 is the power of mystery. Mastering mystery does not mean becoming distant or unavailable. It means controlling access with awareness. The real power is in precision, revealing enough to create connection, but never enough to be fully understood. The moment someone feels they have completely figured you out, your value starts to decline. When you compress your entire life story into a few hours of conversation, you steal the joy of discovery from the other person. And discovery is what fuels desire. Without it, attraction turns into familiarity, and familiarity slowly kills interest. In practical terms, this means speaking with intention. You can share your passions, your experiences, and your successes, but always leave one thread open. You might mention a life-changing journey, but stop before explaining how it ended. You can talk about your ambitions without revealing every step of the plan. When you end a story early, the other person's mind continues it for you. Predictability destroys attraction, but ambiguity creates pursuit. Small unanswered details are not mistakes. They are invitations. Every unclear detail becomes a mental hook the other person wants to pull. Their curiosity keeps returning to you. Another important rule is to protect small secrets. You are not required to give full emotional access at the beginning. Privacy is not emotional coldness. It is self-respect. Anything that is given too easily is rarely valued, and anything revealed too quickly is often forgotten just as fast. Many people confuse mystery with emotional distance. That is weakness pretending to be strategy. A truly attractive man understands contrast. He offers warmth, attention, and presence while still keeping part of himself undisclosed. He is emotionally available, but not fully exposed. He can be charismatic. He can be open. He can even be selectively vulnerable. It is this balance between closeness and restraint that sharpens desire. When someone feels they can approach you but can never completely possess you, attraction grows stronger. In daily life, this appears in subtle ways. Responding with care, listening with interest, showing presence, yet never giving everything away at once. Urgency means knowing when to share emotion without letting it spill everywhere. You invite connection, but you still protect your time and energy. These behaviors quietly communicate strength. No words are needed. The message is clear. I choose this connection, but my entire life does not revolve around it. This controlled distance increases your pull. Every moment someone gets access to you feels earned, not automatic. At this point, mystery stops being a technique. It becomes an atmosphere. An environment that encourages curiosity, activates imagination, and deepens emotional attachment over time. Lesson 2 is the art of full presence. In a world full of noise, distractions, and broken attention, full presence has become rare. And rarity is power. Robert Greene understood that a truly magnetic person never needs to chase, explain, or prove himself. He influences through the experience he creates, and that experience comes from one powerful discipline: total presence. Total presence means being fully there, not half listening, not checking your phone, not lost in your thoughts or quiet anxiety. When you truly look at someone and listen with focus, something subtle but strong happens. You create a psychological pull that draws the other person toward you. Full presence sends a silent but powerful message. Right now, nothing else matters more than you. This is never said out loud. It is felt through calm stillness, relaxed breathing, and silence that feels intentional, not uncomfortable. Being truly listened to is so rare that most people immediately feel valued when it happens. They stop trying to impress, they stop competing for attention, they relax. And in that relaxed state, a quiet but deep trust begins to form. In real life, full presence is a decision. It means letting go of the need to impress and shifting your attention outward. The moment you stop planning your next sentence and start noticing tone, body language, rhythm, and emotion, you become memorable. Not because of clever words, but because you were fully present. Very few people have the discipline to do this. The eyes are the first bridge between two people. They communicate long before words appear. A calm, steady gaze shows confidence, interest, and respect without effort. It signals emotional balance and self-control. Robert Greene taught that the person who understands eye contact never needs long explanations. Presence alone creates curiosity and trust. In practice, eye contact should feel natural and steady, never aggressive. Stay connected while listening. Look away when it feels natural. But when something meaningful is shared, hold the gaze. Let the other person feel that their words truly landed. This simple act creates a quiet form of intimacy. One important difference must be understood. Attentive eye contact is not staring. True presence feels curious, not judgmental. If your gaze carries tension, impatience, or evaluation, the other person feels uncomfortable and pulls back. But when your gaze is calm and relaxed, it creates safety. Your expression should be open, soft, and easy, signaling you are safe here. Hold this level of attention for just a few minutes and a clear shift happens. The body relaxes, defenses drop, openness appears. The reason is simple. Most people never feel truly seen. When you offer that experience, you leave a deep impression. In normal conversation, silence feels awkward. In attraction, silence is power. Robert Greene said that only those who are internally secure can pause without fear. Silence communicates patience, confidence, and control. When you ask a question and remain quiet, you send a strong signal. I am not rushed, I can hold space. That pause invites reflection, and people reveal more when they feel no pressure to fill the silence. When people are not interrupted, they open up more. Silence makes emotions feel stronger. After saying something meaningful, allow quiet to exist. Let your words settle. Let them stay in the air. Train yourself to slow down your responses. When someone finishes speaking, do not rush to answer. Take a breath. Keep eye contact, then speak. This rhythm tells the other person that what they said truly mattered. That level of respect is rare. Silence is not emptiness. It is the space where connection grows deeper. When you stop being afraid of silence, you understand something important. Full presence is not about talking more. It is about being so calm and attentive that even silence feels shared, like quiet companionship instead of distance. Lesson 3 is mastering the art of absence. Robert Greene was very clear about one hard truth. Nothing destroys desire faster than constant availability. When you are always reachable, always present, always responding, your presence loses weight. The human mind gives value through scarcity. What is rare feels valuable. What is always available gets ignored. This is not romance. This is psychology. Balanced absence creates room for imagination. When you step away, the other person's mind does not become quiet. It becomes active. Memories replay, questions appear, fantasies form. It is inside this space, not during constant contact, that desire grows stronger and deeper. Most people fail here because they are afraid to disappear. They believe that being close all the time proves care and emotional depth. But attraction does not grow through closeness alone. It grows through contrast. Presence only has power when it can be missed. In real life, this means knowing when to step back. After a strong or emotional interaction, resist the urge to stretch it endlessly. Do not rush to send messages. Do not water down the moment. Let memory do the work for you. When you return, return fully, without explanations, excuses, or apologies. Controlled distance is not indifference, it is awareness. The person who understands the rhythm between presence and absence never needs to ask for attention. Stepping away is not about ego or childish games. It is about creating a pause long enough for the other person to feel your absence. Robert Greene explained that a confident person does not pull back out of fear. He pulls back because he understands something deeper. Absence is also a form of presence. When you step away calmly, without drama or announcements, you send a clear, silent message. I have my own life, my own world, my own pace. This is not arrogance, it is independence, and independence is attractive. The person who replies instantly to everything, who agrees to everyone, who never protects their time becomes predictable. And predictability kills tension. Without tension, desire fades. Learn to sense the right moment to withdraw. After a meaningful exchange, end the interaction cleanly and positively. Do not linger. Then create space. Let the other person reach out. Let them feel your absence. Let them build their own story about you in their mind. When you finally return, your presence feels heavier and more meaningful. This only works when it feels natural. Absence has power only if it feels organic. The moment it feels planned, manipulative, or emotionally strategic, it loses its effect. Real power disappears when it feels forced, but disappearing alone is not enough. The true skill is shown in how you return. Robert Greene explained that after distance, you must come back with an energy so clear and grounded that longing turns into fresh fascination. Your return should feel like lighting a flame that was never fully gone, making the other person realize they missed you more than they knew. To do this correctly, your return must feel effortless. No long explanations, no apologies, no insecure reasons. You come back as someone who simply continued living his life, calm, centered, unaffected. And when you return, you bring value. Maybe a meaningful story, a sharp observation, a thoughtful compliment, something that adds depth. This pattern, distance followed by intensity, creates contrast. And contrast is what feeds desire. Without contrast, everything becomes flat. Routine takes over, and routine is the enemy of attraction. When you return with calm confidence, the other person understands something important. Your absence was not a punishment, it was independence. And independence naturally commands respect. Think of absence like a pause in music. The silence matters, but it is the note that comes after that defines the melody. The person who understands this rhythm of stepping away and returning never has to chase attention. He becomes the presence others naturally want close. Lesson 4 is the disarming gaze. The first moment of eye contact is not a small detail. It is the moment where power is quietly established. Before words are spoken, before meaning is exchanged, the gaze sets the emotional frame. Robert Greene understood that these are a subtle tool. They can lower defenses while creating tension at the same time. A calm, steady gaze communicates confidence, curiosity, and intention. And unlike words, eye contact cannot be faked for long. That is why people who master it often feel magnetic without speaking much. Most people reveal insecurity immediately. They glance, look away, then look back again, almost apologizing for their presence. The confident man does the opposite. He meets the gaze calmly, no rush, no apology. He holds it long enough to establish presence, but not so long that it becomes uncomfortable. When you hold eye contact with ease, you send a silent message. I am here, I see you. That message cuts through shallow interaction. It breaks routine. It invites the other person to relax and lower their guard. The first look is an unspoken promise of depth. It quietly says, if you stay, there is something here worth discovering. The human mind is naturally drawn to this feeling. Everyone wants to feel truly seen, without filters, without speed, without distraction. A seductive gaze is never aggressive. It does not stare or try to dominate. It balances strength with openness. Robert Greene taught that the secret is calm observation. When your eyes carry judgment, impatience, or nervousness, the other person feels pressure and pulls back. But when your gaze carries curiosity and calm control, it creates silent trust. In practice, train eye contact during simple interactions. Hold your gaze while the other person speaks. When you respond, let your eyes move away naturally, then return. This creates comfort and flow. Long eye contact must be balanced, strong during meaningful moments, softer in between. If tension appears, slow your breathing and relax your face. A gentle softness in your expression keeps the connection safe while the tension stays alive. Your eyes communicate one clear message: I am with you, not against you. Another important element is emotional alignment. Your gaze should change with the moment. When someone is sharing something vulnerable, let softness and empathy appear in your eyes. When the exchange is light or playful, allow warmth and humor to show. When your eyes match the emotional tone of the conversation, they stop feeling like a technique and start feeling natural. They become an extension of who you are. This alignment turns a simple habit into a defining trait. Robert Greene observed something important. Memory does not hold on to exact words. It holds on to feelings. And the eyes have a special ability to carry emotion beyond language. When you hold eye contact with full attention, you create an emotional anchor. That anchor activates again whenever the memory returns. This is why, after meaningful interactions, what people remember most is not what was said, but the quiet moment when two people truly looked at each other. That silent exchange stays longer than words. Use this awareness intentionally. When you ask an important question, hold eye contact a few seconds longer than usual. It quietly signals that the answer matters. When you give a compliment, maintain a steady gaze. It gives your words weight and sincerity. And when you are about to end an interaction, do not rush away. Let your final look carry what words cannot fully express. The effect is subtle but deep. Later, the other person may forget the details of the conversation, but they will remember how it felt to be seen. And being truly seen is one of the deepest human needs. Anyone who learns to look with real presence becomes unforgettable, because at the core, people are starving for genuine attention and very few know how to give it. Lesson 5 is the energy of self-sufficiency. Robert Greene understood a truth that makes many people uncomfortable. Nothing is more attractive than someone who already feels complete. A person who does not chase approval, who does not need permission to feel whole, carries a quiet and powerful presence. Self-sufficiency creates attraction without effort. Others feel it immediately. You are present by choice, not by need. And this single difference changes everything. While most people chase validation, ask for reassurance, and try to prove their worth, the self-sufficient individual moves differently. He does not chase attention. He becomes the center of gravity that draws others in. In daily life, this energy appears through small, controlled actions. You do not feel anxious when replies take time. You do not rush to explain yourself. You do not justify every decision or emotional shift. Your time feels valuable because you invest it carefully in your work, your discipline, your passions, and your growth. This clarity creates an atmosphere of independence that is deeply attractive. The strongest signal of all is emotional stability. When you are comfortable on your own, you transmit safety. The other person feels no pressure to entertain you, fix you, or fill emotional gaps inside you. That alone separates you from the majority who unconsciously seek attention just to feel secure. Attraction begins the moment your presence feels like a privilege, not a necessity. Self-sufficiency is not coldness, it is inner fullness. And inner fullness naturally pulls others closer, without effort, without force, and without asking. This is not coldness, it is inner abundance. It means your sense of fulfillment does not depend on applause, approval, or constant closeness. Robert Greene explained that a true seducer invests deeply in his own interests, and that focused intensity creates a natural glow that cannot be copied. It is the energy of someone whose life is already moving forward, someone who does not rely on others to give his life meaning. In daily life, this independence is built with intention. You give time to activities that sharpen you. You study ideas that expand your thinking. You train your body to become stronger. You explore experiences that deepen how you see the world. These efforts grow quietly, but the signal they send is clear. When you wake up with purpose, the need for external validation slowly disappears. Another important discipline is learning to be alone without fear. Solitude is not emptiness, it is a tool. Use time alone to organize your thoughts, clarify your direction, and strengthen your inner stability. When you become comfortable with yourself, every interaction stops being an escape and becomes a choice. And interactions that come from choice feel calm, clear, and naturally attractive. Self-sufficiency also changes how you relate to others. When you do not need, you choose, and that shift changes everything. Robert Greene said the difference between real seduction and emotional dependence lies in motivation. The seducer approaches because he wants to share his world, not because he needs comfort, approval, or distraction. This position creates a powerful impression. You appear as someone who could be anywhere, but chose to be here. That choice increases your value. The other person does not feel used as emotional support. Instead, they feel invited into something meaningful. They feel welcomed, not required to fill a gap. In practice, pause before acting. Watch your impulse carefully. Ask yourself honestly, am I moving toward this because I truly want it, or because I am trying to escape something inside me? If it is escape, return to yourself first. Regain balance. If it is a genuine desire, move forward without hesitation. Over time, this mindset becomes your identity. Someone grounded, someone complete, someone overflowing rather than reaching. And one truth becomes clear. People are naturally drawn to those who are whole. Because deep down, everyone is searching for that same inner security, and very few ever find it. Lesson 6 is the mastery of storytelling. Robert Greene understood something essential about the human mind. Logic can convince thought, but stories bypass logic and directly affect emotion. When you master storytelling, you stop blending into the background. You become a source of images, feelings, and memories. And memory is where emotional attachment is formed. This narrative power makes people want to stay close to you. Your presence stops feeling ordinary and begins to feel vivid, unpredictable, and meaningful. People do not just hear stories, they step inside them. Stories create instant emotional connection. When you describe a meaningful moment with detail and clarity, the listener's brain activates as if they are experiencing it themselves. This is called neural mirroring. Their body reacts before their mind can analyze. That is why storytelling is not just entertainment, it is emotional immersion. This is also why stories build connections so quickly. They remove distance, they dissolve separation. They place the other person inside your perspective without resistance. In real life, you do not need dramatic adventures. Power comes from choosing the right moments, not from size or scale. Select experiences that carry emotional meaning. A moment when you felt fear but moved forward anyway. A small observation during a journey that changed how you think. A conversation that quietly reshaped how you see the world. These moments, when told with presence and simplicity, stay alive in the mind long after the interaction ends. Meaning matters more than size. It is not how big the event was, but how deeply it meant something to you. When you speak with honesty and sensory clarity, tone, feeling, atmosphere, you turn ordinary moments into living images. People may forget facts, but they never forget those who can turn words into pictures. A powerful story is never accidental. Robert Greene showed that effective seducers shape stories with intention. Every story needs structure, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Each part serves a psychological purpose. First, set the scene. Where were you? When did it happen? What did the moment feel like? This grounds the listener and gently pulls them out of the present moment and into your world. Then introduce tension. A challenge, a problem, a moment of doubt or uncertainty. This is the heart of the story. This is where emotion wakes up and attention locks in. Finally, end with meaning. Not just what happened, but what changed inside you. What you realized, what the moment revealed about who you are. This final part shows your inner character. In practice, begin with an opening that interrupts routine thinking. Lines like, "I'll never forget the moment when," or "Have you ever experienced something that changed how you see things?" These openings prepare the mind to listen. They signal that what follows matters. Keep sensory details sharp but controlled. Mention sounds, movement, feelings inside the body, but do not overload. Too much explanation kills tension. Focus keeps it alive. Precision holds attention. And always end with reflection. When you express insight, a story stops being simple entertainment and becomes connection. The listener does not just hear you, they feel that they understand you, and that feeling is the foundation of deep attachment. The true seducer understands that storytelling reveals without exposing. Robert Greene explained that each well-chosen story opens a window into who you are while the doors remain closed. You show values, depth, ambition, and temperament, but never everything. This balance between openness and restraint keeps mystery alive. For example, when you talk about a difficult situation you overcame, you communicate strength, emotional control, and awareness. But by leaving certain personal details unsaid, you protect an inner space. That space is not empty. It is intriguing. Partial access creates fascination. The other person feels closer to you, yet senses there is more beneath the surface. And what is unknown pulls stronger than what is fully explained. In practice, choose stories carefully. Ask yourself, what does this say about me? What impression will it leave? Never speak just to fill silence. Silence without meaning is neutral, but speech without intention weakens presence. When every story has purpose, your identity feels clear and consistent. And that consistency does not feel manipulative. It feels grounded, aware, and intentional. Few qualities are more attractive than someone who understands their own story and knows exactly how, when, and how much to reveal. Lesson 7 is the subtle power of touch. Robert Greene understood that touch is a language spoken before words are trusted. It can communicate warmth, safety, and connection, or if misused, discomfort and rejection. The strength of touch is not in force, but in restraint. When physical contact is calm, brief, and respectful, it builds an emotional bridge that words cannot create. Natural, light touch creates an immediate physical response. Oxytocin is released. The body registers connection before the mind has time to judge it. This is why a confident handshake, a gentle touch on the arm during conversation, or a short, composed embrace can stay in memory long after the moment has passed. Touch, when used with awareness and timing, does not push. It invites. And that invitation, when felt as safe and natural, quietly deepens connection without needing explanation. Touch confirms presence. It makes closeness feel real, grounded, and intentional. But in practice, context is everything. Touch should never feel random, forced, or disconnected from the moment. A sincere compliment combined with a light touch on the arm can feel warm and supportive. The same gesture, done without awareness or sensitivity, can instantly create discomfort. Your first responsibility is observation. Pay close attention to body language. If you sense resistance, stiffness, pulling away, hesitation, you step back immediately. The power of touch only exists when balance is maintained. When touch is natural and respectful, intimacy forms effortlessly. When it is forced, even slightly, connection breaks. Seductive touch should never feel planned. Robert Greene explained that it must arise naturally from your inner state, calm, confidence, and genuine interest. When touch comes from alignment instead of strategy, it does not feel intrusive. It feels like resonance. For example, during a shared laugh, a brief touch on the forearm strengthens the emotional moment. When greeting someone, a firm handshake followed by a light touch on the shoulder communicates stability and warmth. Touch should always be brief and light, just enough to be noticed. Too much creates pressure, too little goes unnoticed. Observe how people who are truly comfortable with each other behave. Close friends move naturally. Their contact is relaxed, effortless, and free of hidden intention. That is the model. A gesture that suggests closeness without demanding anything in return. Just as important, your whole body must support the signal. A gentle touch paired with tension, impatience, or closed posture sends mixed messages. But the same touch, combined with relaxed shoulders, calm breathing, and an easy expression, feels natural and safe. When this harmony is present, being near you feels comfortable, and comfort is the foundation on which desire grows without resistance. Robert Greene emphasized that timing matters as much as the gesture itself. A touch without meaning is forgettable. A touch delivered at the right moment becomes memorable. When emotional connection already exists and touch is introduced naturally, its effect increases. Closeness stops feeling uncertain and becomes a quiet confirmation of trust. In practice, look for signs of openness: relaxed posture, slight leaning in, steady eye contact, ease in movement. When the atmosphere feels aligned, introduce small, controlled gestures. A brief touch on the arm to show agreement. A light touch on the shoulder when greeting. A short contact to emphasize something meaningful. Never extend touch beyond its purpose. It should feel like a natural response, not a calculated action. One final rule matters above all others. Never use touch to pressure, persuade, or invade personal space. The true strength of touch lies in restraint. It sends a simple message: I am comfortable with myself and comfortable with you. That calm certainty makes closeness feel natural instead of forced. Those who understand timing and intensity become people others naturally want near. Those who do not create discomfort, and people quietly distance themselves. Lesson 8 is the value of uncertainty. Robert Greene understood a deep paradox of the human mind. It dislikes uncertainty, yet it cannot stop focusing on it. The mind wants clear answers, but desire is born in what remains unresolved. Attraction does not grow in certainty. It grows in gaps. The moment everything is explained, curiosity fades. But when something stays unfinished, the mind keeps returning to it again and again. What did he really mean by that? Why didn't he explain more? Does he feel the same way or something completely different? This is not confusion, this is psychological activation. Ambiguity creates tension, and tension is the raw material of desire. Attraction lives in the space between what you reveal and what you intentionally leave unsaid. Uncertainty becomes fertile ground for imagination, and imagination is far more powerful than facts. The human brain is wired to solve what it cannot fully understand. When something feels unfinished, the mind keeps returning to it, and the longer it returns, the deeper your presence embeds itself. This is why someone can stay in another person's thoughts long after an interaction ends. Not because of what they said, but because of what they didn't say. Understand this clearly. Uncertainty is not manipulation when the intention is clean. The difference between authentic seduction and cheap psychological games lies in motive. Robert Greene never described ambiguity as humiliation or emotional confusion. He described it as engagement. Healthy ambiguity keeps the other person emotionally alert, mentally involved, and curious. It is about offering signals instead of conclusions, clues instead of full explanations. In real life, this shows up in small, subtle ways. You do not reply to every message instantly, but you also do not disappear. You allow rhythm to exist. You tell a meaningful story, but you do not share every detail. You leave certain parts undefined. When someone asks, "What did you really mean by that?" you do not rush to explain. You smile calmly and say, "Maybe I'll tell you another time." That pause does more than any explanation ever could. When certainty is withheld, imagination steps in, and imagination always increases value. The key is consistency. Your overall behavior must feel stable and respectful. You are not unpredictable in a chaotic way. You are not hot and cold. You are steady, but not fully readable. This balance matters. Ambiguity without stability creates insecurity, but ambiguity supported by confidence creates magnetism. The other person begins to sense something important. There are layers here. And discovering layers over time is one of the most satisfying psychological experiences humans can have. Robert Greene observed that the human mind is naturally drawn to patterns. Anything that feels incomplete or slightly unresolved captures attention. The mind keeps returning to it, trying to make sense of it. This is why ambiguity is so powerful. It keeps the other person mentally active. Predictability, on the other hand, kills attraction. When someone feels they already understand you completely, interest fades. There is nothing left to explore. But when parts of you remain just out of reach, you become a living mystery, someone who cannot be reduced to a label or a simple story. In practice, this means becoming comfortable with not explaining everything. If someone asks exactly how you feel, you do not rush to define it. You can calmly say, "I'm still discovering that." If someone asks about your future plans, you do not present the entire blueprint. You say, "I'll share more when it unfolds." This is not avoidance. It is an invitation. Fascination grows from the feeling that there will always be something new to uncover about you. This controlled unpredictability keeps emotional energy alive. People start paying attention to small details, your tone, your pauses, your expressions, because every detail might mean something. Those who master this art become unforgettable. Not by pushing, explaining, or chasing, but by remaining partially unreadable. Uncertainty must also be protected. One of the fastest ways people destroy attraction is by over-explaining, oversharing, and removing every question before it has time to grow. When nothing is left for the imagination to work with, desire slowly fades. Mystery does not mean hiding, it means allowing space. And in that space, attraction breathes. One of the fastest ways mystery is destroyed is through excessive generosity. Robert Greene warned that what looks like kindness is often read as insecurity. When you give too much attention, too much availability, too many gifts, you send a silent message: "I need you to like me." That message weakens attraction. True seducers are not cheap or selfish, but they are intentional. They give without disappearing inside the act of giving. Their generosity has limits because it comes from inner fullness, not emotional need. When the other person understands that your giving is a choice rather than an obligation, its value increases immediately. In real life, this means you do not try to predict every desire. You do not rush to fix problems that were never placed in your hands. You do not position yourself as a constant provider of comfort or solutions. Instead, you allow the other person to invest, to contribute, to move forward as well. This balance changes everything. Effort creates attachment. Investment creates value. Respect keeps desire alive. When generosity is measured, each gesture lands deeper. When some uncertainty remains, attention stays active. And when attention stays active, connection grows naturally. Uncertainty, guided by confidence and restraint, does not confuse people. It captivates them. And this is the difference between being interesting for a moment and being remembered long after silence returns. Lesson 9 is the power of controlled generosity. Generosity only has power when it is rare. Robert Greene understood that abundance without control destroys value. What is always available becomes invisible. What is endlessly given is slowly ignored. And what costs nothing is almost never respected. This is not cruelty, it is human psychology. When you are always reachable, always agreeable, always ready to give your time, energy, or favors, you quietly communicate something risky. You are easy to access. And the mind does not assign importance to what arrives without effort. The solution is not to stop giving. The solution is to give with structure. Controlled generosity blends warmth with boundaries. It transforms your presence from something expected into something earned. When your attention, care, or generosity appears at meaningful moments instead of constantly, it gains emotional weight. In practice, this means understanding timing. Rather than being endlessly available, you show up fully, focused, engaged, present, and then you step back. You create space, you allow absence. This rhythm turns generosity into impact. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. It may mean protecting certain days or hours for yourself, even when interest is strong. It may mean resisting the urge to give expensive gifts too early, or to emotionally overinvest before the bond has time to grow. But this restraint sends a powerful message: my time and energy matter. When you do not give everything immediately, the other person begins to experience your attention as something meaningful, something earned, not assumed. And that shift makes even small gestures feel significant. Remember this clearly: those who measure what they give build respect. Those who give without limits create dependence, and dependence slowly suffocates desire. Control is not coldness, it is awareness. And awareness is what turns generosity into power. Generosity is not coldness, it is emotional intelligence. Robert Greene emphasized that generosity becomes powerful only when it is intentional. It is not about giving less, it is about creating anticipation. When affection is not guaranteed, it is cherished. When care is not automatic, it is felt more deeply. In practice, this means you do not reveal all your feelings at once. If you are interested, you do not overwhelm the connection with constant reassurance. You express care in subtle, deliberate ways. A message that arrives unexpectedly, a compliment that is specific rather than generic, an invitation that shows you noticed what truly matters to the other person, these are the gestures that leave a lasting impression. But these gestures must never become routine. The moment generosity becomes predictable, it loses its effect. Repetition without scarcity turns warmth into background noise. The same principle applies to help. Offer support naturally, but do not position yourself as the constant rescuer. When you solve every problem, anticipate every need, and remove all effort from the other person, you deprive them of investment. Without investment, there is no attachment. Gifts follow the same rule. A thoughtful, well-timed gesture carries more weight than something excessive or grand. What matters is intention, not size or cost. A gift is not a transaction. It is not leverage. It is not a bribe for affection. It is a signal of appreciation. And rarity is what makes that signal memorable. Controlled generosity creates a unique emotional tension. The other person never feels deprived, but they also never feel fully satiated. They receive enough to feel valued, yet not so much that desire collapses into certainty. This balance keeps the emotional current alive. There is another layer most people miss: effort. When the other person must contribute, show initiative, invest time, or step forward, the bond deepens. Effort creates ownership. Ownership creates value. By not overgiving, you invite reciprocity. You allow the other person to participate, give back, and earn closeness. Shared investment builds respect. Respect is not optional in seduction, it is foundational. Robert Greene warned that many people give excessively to mask insecurity. They give not from abundance, but from fear. Fear of losing attention, fear of being replaced, fear of not being enough. The mind senses this. When generosity smells of need, it repels rather than attracts. True controlled generosity comes from self-sufficiency. You give because you choose to, not because you must. That distinction is felt instantly. When the other person realizes your care is voluntary, not automatic, they value it more. Each gesture lands heavier. Each moment of attention feels intentional. And intention is inherently seductive. This dynamic creates magnetism without force. The other person feels they never fully possess you, but they are consistently drawn closer. They want more, not because you are cruelly withholding, but because your generosity has shape, timing, and limits. The desire created by measured giving is the heart of seduction. Not excess, not sacrifice, but control. Lesson 10. The Aura of Destiny. Robert Greene understood that the most magnetic seducer is not the loudest, the most impressive, or the most entertaining. The most magnetic seducer is the one who makes the other person feel the meeting was inevitable, not random, not accidental, but somehow destined. When a connection feels inevitable, resistance weakens, logic softens, and emotion takes over. The bond begins to feel larger than the two people involved, as if circumstances themselves quietly aligned to make the encounter happen. Once the mind accepts this idea, attraction stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like a pull. The human mind is addicted to meaning. It cannot tolerate randomness for long. When coincidences appear, the brain instinctively tries to create a story. It searches for patterns, signs, and hidden logic. Those who understand this mechanism can turn ordinary encounters into something extraordinary, without force, without exaggeration, without effort to impress. Destiny is not something you declare, it is something you suggest. The aura of destiny is created through careful observation and subtle restraint. It is not loud, dramatic, or forced. In practice, it begins by noticing genuine affinities. When you find shared interests, similar ways of thinking, or overlapping values, you do not celebrate them loudly. Instead, you acknowledge them calmly. It's interesting how we think alike. Funny how we enjoy the same things. These statements do not force meaning, they quietly plant it. If coincidences appear, like being in the same place before, crossing paths more than once, or knowing mutual friends, you treat them as noteworthy but never exaggerated. The aim is not to convince the other person. The aim is to imply that this meeting might have been meant to happen. Another crucial element is certainty in your posture. You behave as if, on some level, you already expected this connection, not with excitement, urgency, or drama, but with calm confidence. When you act as if certain moments have weight without demanding acknowledgement, the other person begins to sense it too. This sense of inevitability enchants them. Conversations stop feeling like isolated, trivial moments. They start feeling like chapters in a story, part of a larger narrative. Stories, real or framed, are far more seductive than random interactions. Robert Greene noted that the human mind actively looks for confirmation of what it wants to believe. A skilled seducer does not invent destiny. He offers just enough subtle evidence to let the other person construct it in their own mind. Real details are framed as signs of alignment rather than forced coincidences. This is narrative framing, not manipulation. In practice, this looks like noticing small, real coincidences and framing them subtly. For example, if you frequent the same places, you might calmly remark, "I always thought I'd eventually meet someone who understands this like I do." If you discover shared values or similar life challenges, you note it casually. It's interesting how people sometimes show up at the right time. These are reflections, not declarations. Reflections are powerful because they allow the other person to participate in creating meaning. Every time you help someone notice alignment, timing, similarity, or shared rhythm, you strengthen a sense of inevitability. But one rule is absolute: never invent coincidences, never exaggerate, never lie. False destiny collapses quickly. Genuine patterns, however subtle, deepen over time. The strength of this approach lies in restraint. You do not force conclusions, you merely highlight what already exists and quietly suggest that maybe it is not random. The rest is handled by imagination. Once imagination is engaged, it becomes loyal. When the other person fills in the gaps themselves, the relationship changes. It no longer feels casual. It begins to feel significant, chosen, even written, something worthy of attention. Nothing is more seductive than the feeling of being part of a story that seems to have started before they even noticed. Most people misunderstand seduction. They think it is about tricks, clever lines, or emotional manipulation. It is not. Seduction is about presence. It is about self-sufficiency. It is about becoming someone whose life already has direction, depth, and psychological gravity. Robert Greene taught that seduction is the art of balancing light and shadow, knowing when to reveal and when to stay silent, when to appear and when to disappear. Knowing how to feed desire through stories while keeping part of yourself unreachable. Not from arrogance, but because mystery allows imagination to breathe. When you apply these lessons, something subtle yet powerful happens. People begin to see you differently, not as someone who is trying to impress, but as someone who does not rush to give everything away. Someone whose value does not depend on approval. That perception creates a magnetic presence that cannot be bought, forced, or copied. When destiny feels plausible, attraction deepens effortlessly. Remember this clearly. Seduction is not about conquering someone. It is about becoming so grounded, internally complete, and psychologically solid that the world itself seems compelled to come closer. You are not chasing. You are not pushing. You are living fully, calmly, and deliberately. And in doing so, the choice naturally moves toward you. The seducer is not the one who makes things happen by force. The seducer is the one whose presence, consistency, and subtlety make it feel like everything happening around them was always meant to happen. That is the power of destiny and seduction. It is quiet, it is confident, it is undeniable, it is magnetic. Every interaction, every gesture, every story, and every pause contributes to this sense of inevitability. It is not manipulation, it is the disciplined alignment of your life with your values, your attention, and your presence.